You reach the defining moment. The climax of your life's work is right in front of you. The stakes are at their absolute highest. And instead of pushing through, your brain screams at you to drop everything and walk away. This psychological collapse is not a modern invention. The most famous historical case study of freezing under pressure happened over 3,000 years ago on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Facing the opposing army, the legendary warrior Arjuna looked at the reality of the fight ahead, dropped his massive bow, and refused to participate. We face our own versions of that battlefield today. It hits during career-defining choices, bitter family disputes, or intense moral dilemmas. The scale shrinks, but the paralysis is identical. That overwhelming urge to escape the pressure is not cowardice or a personal weakness. It is a universal human condition, triggered precisely when we become terrified that making the wrong choice will destroy us. When that terror hits, the mind desperately looks for an exit. We often dress that exit up as taking the high road, convincing ourselves that walking away, avoiding conflict, and staying passive is the peaceful, even spiritual thing to do. But classical commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita tear this excuse apart. They compare this specific kind of escapism to a lazy laborer, a worker who sits down on the job and claims they are suddenly too devoted to their master to actually do the hard labor is simply stealing time. Hiding behind passive devotion to avoid worldly responsibilities is a trap. That is exactly why Krishna does not offer passive comfort to Arjuna. He doesn't validate the urge to quit. Instead, he delivers a stark philosophical intervention designed to completely shatter Arjuna's escapist mindset. Retreating from life's battlefield never resolves the underlying moral crisis. It simply guarantees that we fail the very ecosystem relying on our action. Krishna's first step is a brutal diagnosis. Arjuna's physical collapse is a symptom of a doubt born of ignorance lodged deep in his heart. To cure the paralysis, that doubt must be cut out with the sword of knowledge. Krishna uses the yagna ritual to illustrate society. A piece of firewood, samhita, is defined by its output, generating heat and light. This principle treats human labor as firewood. Your dedicated effort becomes a vital contribution to an interconnected, pulsing ecosystem. This mental shift changes the entire equation. When you reframe your difficult daily work as a vital contribution to the survival of a larger network, it ceases to be a crushing personal burden. The labor becomes your profound purpose. The theory makes sense, but it leaves a massive logistical problem. How can a person actually execute intense, high-stakes work without being crushed by the pressure of the outcome? Most operate as rajasic, driven by ego and constantly whipped between the hunger for success and terror of failure. The alternative is the sattvic worker. They act with total resolution, entirely free from ego, psychologically untouched by victory or defeat. The ancient texts use a specific visual for this mental state: the lotus leaf. This person lives completely immersed in the chaotic, muddy waters of the world. They execute their duties flawlessly, but the water of stress, sin, and outcome anxiety rolls right off. It never sticks to them. This is the mechanics of nishkam karma, selfless action. By detaching your self-worth from the final result, the fear disappears. You are left with nothing but clear, flawless execution. With this intervention, the paralysis breaks. Arjuna realizes his fight is not driven by a personal greed for a kingdom, nor is the act of fighting a sin. It is simply the necessary duty required of him to restore balance. He picks up his bow. We often assume that true wisdom and spirituality require isolating ourselves on a quiet mountaintop, but the highest level of clarity is tested and proven directly inside the chaotic office, the noisy home, and the daily struggles of modern life. By abandoning our obsession with the fruits of our labor, the very environment that used to trigger our worst anxieties becomes the place where we find our deepest focus. The battlefield of our daily lives transforms into a space of profound inner peace. Life offers no exit from the battlefield of responsibility, but by detaching your self-worth from the outcome and acting with total equanimity, the pressure loses its power to paralyze. You remain in the fight, but the fear of it